We'd like to welcome everybody here tonight for the Dental Sleep Medicine More Than Just a Hobby webinar. So glad you all could join us here this evening. And we have a few that I believe are still going to be coming on. Tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Dr. Rod Willey, and I am the CEO and founder of the Koalas Center for Sleep Disorders. And so we will be presenting quite a few things tonight, talking about more of the business model of how do we take sleep medicine, the practice of sleep medicine, and be able to put it into a business model where we're actually able to be productive with it and provide a service for a great deal amount of patients that certainly need our services. So as we get started on this, I thought I would just start by talking about a particular a saying that is out here. The nighttime may be the most deadly time of the day for your patients. I mean, stop and think about that. I know this is a reality. I'm going to tell you a story in a few moments about why that is such a reality, but it truly is. And the question is who will treat them? If nighttime is the most deadly time for some of your patients, then certainly we ought to be able to at least recognize that indeed there is a problem there for them. So again, today when we look at this, we look at the number of people in today's world that have sleep apnea. It is astounding. It's estimated that 84 million, many of you may have seen this, 84 million Americans suffer from some type of sleep disorder. 18 million Americans suffer from obstructive sleep apnea alone. This is actually an old statistic. I've seen as high numbers as 54 million. The bottom line is this: there's a whole lot of people with sleep apnea that are out there, and the majority of them, 85 to 90%, are going undiagnosed. That's a big deal. So there certainly is a huge need for helping with sleep apnea and going through. 74 million baby boomers are approaching the first day of retirement and every day thereafter. Think about that, 74 million baby boomers. And of course, as our population is aging, it's not only that we're aging, but a lot of times it also means that they're getting just a little bit bigger. And of course, with aging comes sleep apnea, and obstructive sleep apnea onset becomes greater and greater as we get older as well. So someone's going to treat them. Someone's going to need to treat them. The only question is who will it be? Will it be you? Tonight we're going to talk about 8 different components to build a $1 million sleep practice or a solid sleep practice. What is it going to take us from sleep apnea being a hobby, something that we do just 1 or 2 a month, to something that is an actual business? I'd like to talk about that. Tonight we're going to focus mainly on the business section of sleep apnea. I hope I'm going to give you some good ideas along the way. You might find down at the on the scroll a place where you can actually text and ask some questions. Do you want to type out some questions? We'll try to address some of those at the end of the seminar as well. Again, we want to talk about the 8 components to build a $1 million sleep practice. We want to look at these 8 components, which is looking beyond the teeth. We're going to talk about understanding the disease. We're going to discuss how to train the whole team and why it's important to train the whole team. We're going to look and show and discuss about proven systems, getting a system that actually works, that's reproducible, to where we can actually have something that we can produce over and over so that we can have a flow in our system. And yes, we want to talk about the business plan. We want to discuss some about marketing, some ideas on marketing and why it's important and such. We want to talk about getting paid. It seems like we have several things that come in. When I go out and I've spoke nationally to groups of dentists along the way, and I always hear the same questions. All right, how do I get the dentist in the door? How do I get them float through a system that flows correctly? And how do I get paid for it in the end? Because if we're not able to get it paid for, then it's simply a hobby, and sometimes it's an expensive hobby at that. and we want to be able to turn it into a business. And of course, the eighth thing that we want to talk about tonight is ongoing coaching. How are we going to be able to reproduce this in such a way that we're able to teach our staff, be able to have ongoing coaching and keep things going along the way. So with that, I'd like to begin with looking beyond the teeth. My story began with my dental school experience at Loma Linda University in Southern California. Went through the dental school, loved the dental school, it was a great school, learned an awful lot. I was really proud of myself that I was able to learn so much. I ate, lived, and breathed dentistry. I started a little practice with 2 employees and grew it to too many employees, 75 or so employees, 8 dentists, and several multi-specialty dental center. And I ate, lived, and breathed dentistry along the way. Absolutely loved what I did. I was very driven. I took everything that I could find after dental school when it comes to training. I started learning about functional orthodontics, and I took a full 5 years study in functional orthodontics, did a lot of ortho in my practice, gradually moved me through to where I was learning a lot with LVI and something called neuromuscular dentistry. Loved what I was learning on that, finding that the two fit very well together, and learning a lot about perio, taking all practices, and was doing a lot of different aspects of dentistry myself as I was practicing and honing my skills, you might say, through the years. One of the employees that we had became a very close friend of ours. She would come to work and worked for us for over, this was about 15 years into it that she was working for us. And so it was one that I had hired early on, and we became close friends with her and her husband. Her husband was a police officer, and he, real friendly guy. In fact, when I first met him, he had a long beard and scroungy hair, long hair, and I asked him what he did because they didn't match. She's a classy lady, and he was just they didn't seem to match too well. And he told me that, I said, so what do you do for work? First time I met him, trying to be friendly. He said, well, I'm a purchasing agent for recreational pharmaceuticals. And I thought, huh? And he said, a police officer. I'm an undercover police officer. I said, oh, okay, I get it. Well, we did become close friends, and he had perio problems, and I was treating his perio condition, seeing him every 3 months, year after year after year, patting him on the back. Man, your teeth look great. We got him in tip-top shape. Everything's looking good. Doing flossing, making sure everything's great. But here we were, and periodically his wife would come in and she would say, you know, Mike was snoring so loud I could hardly sleep last night. I'm sorry, I know I'm yawning a lot and I'm tired, but I had to go back out to the couch, so you'll just have to forgive me. I'm trying to do the best I can. Mike was a big guy, big neck, and a bit overweight for sure. And she went home at the end of the night one night, and after work at the end of the day, Mike had worked the night shift the night before, and so he slept during the day, and she came home and found him dead in bed, died from an apparent heart attack. And it was soon after that I took my first sleep apnea course. This was a tragic, very tragic time in my life. We were very close. They had a couple of kids, and it was a tough time. And I was sitting in this course soon afterwards, my first course I took in obstructive sleep apnea. And as they were describing about big necks, thick tongues, a little overweight, the snoring, the different conditions, high blood pressure, and on and on and on, as I was listening to that, then he started talking about cardiovascular things, and he made this statement, the speaker did. He said that 90% of people who die in their sleep due to a heart attack in their sleep, the root cause is sleep apnea. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Because I know that had I known then what I know now, it could have been so different. You see, the less you know about a condition, the more normal a person appears. I thought I was doing Mike such a great favor and doing so well with his teeth, and I did. But I didn't look beyond the teeth. Because I didn't recognize what sleep apnea was all about, I didn't recognize that there could be a problem that could take his life. And fighting back tears from my eyes and that were flowing down my face, literally, I made a decision right then and there that from that point forward, I was never going to look down another mouth without assessing the situation and if they could possibly have obstructive sleep apnea. The dangerous part of the most dangerous point of some of your patients' day is when they go to bed at night. The less we know about a condition, the more normal a person appears. So why do I do what I do? Every patient's life matters. You, all of us that are in the sleep world, all of us that are in the dental world, have patients that we're looking down their throats that could have this situation. We all have mics in our offices. The question is are we recognizing them? I felt as though I had a personal responsibility. And when I came back, I started seeing one patient after the next, and I was seeing a lot of patients in these days. And I started finding sleep apnea everywhere I looked. I started treating sleep apnea and doing this. In fact, there was one month I did over 100 cases in a month. But I feel as though it's my own personal responsibility. Oh yeah, it's nice to build the $1 million practice or whatever that successful practice is. It's nice to be successful about this, but it goes so much deeper than that. Because when we're treating them for sleep apnea, we're not only impacting their lives and making them have better smiles, but we're literally extending their lives and sometimes saving their lives altogether. A person with untreated sleep apnea reduces their lifespan 7 to 15 years. 90% of people who die in their sleep, the root cause is sleep apnea. 60% of people who have untreated sleep apnea people with untreated sleep apnea have a 60% higher risk of cancer than the normal patient, proven in 2012. And that's true because of the low oxygen environment. When you stop breathing, the oxygen level goes down in the blood. When that records to an individual cell at a cellular level, at a low oxygen environment, it causes normal cells to atrophy. It causes cancer cells to proliferate, to activate. That's why 60% higher risk of cancer, 2.5 times higher risk of stroke, dementia, cognitive thinking, depression, weight gain. The list goes on and on and on the reasons why a person with sleep apnea should be treated. So as a dentist, we are the most likely to discover this untreated sleep apnea. Again, 85 to 90% of people with sleep apnea, it goes untreated. These people are everywhere we look, and certainly as a professional in our communities, we should be screaming from the mountaintops about this issue and helping people to be able to get it treated. We also want to prepare and coach others to do the same. That's why I'm doing this seminar. It's not about whether or not you happen to join Koala or not. I think I have a pretty good system that's there, but we need a system. So as you're in here and you're looking at this tonight, jot these things down. I want to talk a bit about the Koala systems because I do believe in them. But if not the Koala systems, a system that works. But the thing is we want to be able to coach whether you're there or not. If we're able to, and if I'm able to take a few moments here tonight and inspire one of you that are here watching the webinar to actually take a look at this tomorrow. When you get down and you're down in the mouth tomorrow looking in people's mouths, check more than for perio, for decay. Take a look at there and look a little further back in the mouth and recognize the situation as it comes along. So at Koala Centers for Sleep Disorders, we have this is a business model that we have put together and systemized in a way to where it can help. If you join the Koala systems, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. You come along a team of others that are in here together that we can join together. We can compare what we're doing, how things are working or they're not working, or this particular appliance or that particular technique for taking a bite, or this particular advertisement that was used, or maybe presenting the presentation in a certain way, but we're able to come together and to add to the whole table, you might say, of the koala centers, where everybody can group things together and have a symbiotic relationship where we're better together than we are individually by ourselves. We want to be able to take this from a hobby to $1 million sleep practice, or whatever that sleep practice would be in your case. I have a note on here that says, I don't think I can hear you. I'm hoping if someone else can hear me on there, text to me and tell you can. Sarah is saying, I don't think I can hear you. Is everybody able to hear me okay? If someone would text me back, okay, beautiful. There we go. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. So evidently we got it in. If somebody's having problems, please do text it and I'll respond back to it. Again, we're trying to go from how do we take this from a hobby where we're taking or we're doing 2 or 3 cases a month to change that to where we're doing 30 or 40 cases a month. How do we take it from a hobby to a successful sleep practice? That's what we're going to talk about here on our remaining time. One of the things we certainly have to do is understand the disease. I can tell you, if you haven't taken a good seminar or several seminars about on obstructive sleep apnea, do so. Join the AADSM, join the American Sleep and Breathing Academy or the ACDS. Join one of the academies that are in here for sleep apnea and learn from them. Take some of the courses that are in there. If you take a lot of people are taking a single weekend seminar, and how hard can it be? All of us can take impressions and get a bite, right? But there's a little more to it. We really have to understand the disease. So I went through and started studying. I've taken and got a couple of diplomates with a couple of different academies, really dove into this, studied like I hadn't studied since dental school, quite honestly, to be able to understand the disease. This is a serious thing. If we're treating patients, we want to be able to treat them the best that we're able to so that they're able to be treated effectively. And the next component in building $1 million practice, we need to be able to train the whole team. So if we're able to recognize the disease and we're able to train the whole team, we're getting along the way. So again, training the whole team, it's not about just the doctor. Some of us have taken courses, I know I certainly have, where I've gone and learned a whole lot about a particular part of dentistry and been so excited about it, came back, presented it to the staff, but they weren't trained. I started doing that with ortho. That's where I first started it. So I started doing orthodontics, and I was doing it on my own. I was placing my own brackets, changing my own wires, putting the own ligatures on there. I was doing every aspect of ortho. The problem was it was a great hobby. It wasn't until I actually trained the team and helped them and ran it like an orthodontic office, like an orthodontist would, that we were able to then turn it from a hobby into an actual major part of my business. And it made all the difference in the world. So taking the team along and training the team in what you do is really a big deal. At the Koala Centers, we actually bring people back if they join our program. We bring the whole team back to my location, and we train for a full week in my office. Part of that week is didactics. We're doing presentation on both temporomandibular joint disorder, TMD treatment, as well as sleep apnea, and a lot of other treatments that come along. So half the time is actually spent in didactics. The other half is actually sitting down and working with patients. So I'm actually taking my staff. I see 30 to 45 patients a day, and we take a half of that day, and we're actually, the doctor follows me around. The staff follow their counterpart with whoever it is that's coming in training. So if they're training for the front desk, they work with my front desk. If they're training with assisting, they work with my assistants. If they're doing treatment plans or if they're the office manager, they're working with my office manager. But training the whole staff, so hugely key and important. And if not the Koala Centers, no problem. Training, we have to have a practice. if you're doing it, doctors, if you're going about this and doing it by yourself, then that's just not going to, you're not going to be effective at it. It's going to be a nice hobby, but it'll never be the type of practice that will be able to grow it into a large, full-blown practice. So we need to be able to understand what needs to be trained and take action for the whole team to be well trained, responsible for their jobs, and competent to perform them. So sometimes the very first thing we have to do is even know what needs to be trained. We need to have a system that flows. We need to be able to know, to be able to take a patient from the point that they actually answer or call on the phone, making and scheduling the appointment, all the way through the flow, through the presentation, initial exam, delivering the appliance, doing all the follow-ups, all the way through to getting the documentation made and being able to get paid for it at the end. Quite a lot to it. Some of you that are on here may have quite a bit of experience. I'm not sure if we have some that maybe are just starting, others that have a lot of experience. But those of you who have the experience, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Certainly, it takes more than just the doctor. We need training for the whole team if we're going to be a successful practice. Again, we take the full staff, bring them in along the way, and take them. We have a lot of fun as we're going through some of these trainings that are here. We have 17 different locations, and we've done a lot of training with these offices. Again, some of these pictures are some of them in our offices, and the full service time that is spent in here is well worth it. A lot of fun. The weeks that we do the training are my best weeks. Love it, and we have a really good time doing them. So again, I would encourage you to be involved. If you're going to dive into sleep apnea, dive into it. Dive into it fully to where your patients can, and your staff can be treated the way it should be, and be able to be taught in a way that makes sense. So as we're going through, we want to be involved with a system that will flow and that is reproducible and changeable along the way. So find some proven systems. When you find something that works, keep doing it, perfect it, do it over and over, put it into systems, put a system together that can move you along the way. Only do the things that work, and that's of course with everything. We want to take the things that are making sense, do them, and perfect the ones that are not. Listen to your employees. A lot of times the employees have an awful lot of things they can give. I've learned so many things from suggestions from employees that come in with a fresh idea. But getting those proven systems, working with those proven systems is a very big deal. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's the beauty of what we have at the Koala Center is we do have a system. It's one of several good systems out there that work. I believe it is a very good system. I believe in the system. But certainly you could do it the way I did, where we started off and we did things and we had to reinvent the wheel. It spent a lot of money on things that didn't work. I tried to get paid an awful lot of times, only to find out that I didn't follow the fine print. And so I ended up not getting paid for these things. I counted it up for tuition. So certainly it doesn't have to be that way. There are a lot of things out there you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because a lot of these things have already been done along the way. You don't have to use your office as a laboratory. You can actually come and get the training at our office or some other offices, but get some training along the way so that you're able to provide the services that are there. Another thing that we want to do is we want to not only perfect the systems, we want to be able to have a business plan that is there. And I'm going to spend some time talking about this business plan here in the next few moments. There's a book out there that's called The Go-Giver. You might want to jot this down. It's a great book. It's a short, simple read, and it talks about the laws for stratospheric success. The laws for stratospheric success. What is it that makes a person successful? I think it's good for not only this type of practice in the sleep practice or in your dental practice, it's also good for any business that's out there. In fact, it's actually good for basic life concepts themselves. But one of the laws in this particular book is the law of compensation. As we're looking at the business plan, I want you to think about this. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. Think about that for a moment. Our income as dentists is determined by how many people we serve and how well we serve them. Our income in the sleep world, in a sleep practice, is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. You think about that, it's true even in the sports world. I mean, you take some guy that looks like he may barely have a high school education or less, but man, if he can throw a basketball through a hoop, he's worth millions and millions of dollars. Same with some of the movie stars. If they can act, and why would that be? Why would it be that a person who is an all-star basketball player can make these millions and millions of dollars, and yet a school teacher is not, that may have so much to contribute to society, makes just a minuscule amount? But the people that this person is serving, the all-star player, is serving millions of people with entertainment. Movie star, millions of people with entertainment. His income is determined by how many people he serves and how well he serves them. So if we think about that in our world and what we're looking at, we want to think about how many people are we able to serve, and the ones that we do serve, we want to make sure that we serve them well. I'd like to talk about 3 types of sleep practices. There's 3 basic ways. If you're going to do sleep apnea, there's three basic ways or types of practices that you can do. You can go with the cash model only, one model of a sleep practice, where, and I know dentists that do this, there's no right or wrong necessarily, but if you're going to do cash only where you're like, you know what, I'm not going to take any insurance, you want me to do it? Sure, I'll be happy to. Here it is, $2,000, I'll be happy to do it, got it back, and you're off and going, or whatever, name your price. But cash only, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are able to do that, but there's an awful lot of people that are going to walk away. And you have to ask yourself the question, what if you were able to meet the needs of the people that were walking away, that are struggling? Maybe they don't have the cash, but maybe they really, really need the service. But that's one model. A second model is to go with medical insurance, but no Medicare. Medicare is a real pain. It's very there's a lot of legal issues with it, all right? There is a lot of problems with Medicare, and when you get into that, you got to have your I's dotted, your T's crossed if you're going to get paid, and then you hope they don't come back and audit you at the end of the day. So a lot of people say, forget Medicare, I'm not going to go with these federal programs, I'll take insurance, but it's too much risk, forget the Medicare. Great, understand that, fully understand that. But again, what about the segment of the population that is over 65, the aging population, the baby boomers that are turning to that age on huge amounts of population? A lot of these people that are there that we would be able to serve, that we're going to leave them. Again, our income is determined by a number of people that we serve and how well we serve them. So the third type of a practice, the third model for business model for a sleep practice is accepting medical insurance and Medicare. So we can go with cash, we can go with medical insurance, or we can go with medical insurance and Medicare altogether. Also, when we're looking at that, we can decide, are we going to do this as a standalone business, or are we going to do it as an adjunct along with our sleep, with our dental practices? I think ideally the best thing to do is to have a standalone practice. And at Koala, we do have a transitional model and we have a standalone model. We decide which model seems to fit best for the individual that wants to do this. If it's a transitional model, then we start inside the practice and we build it inside the practice, but we do it in such a way that it can be segmented out with the ultimate goal of to transfer it to a standalone model. Why a standalone model? Here's why. If a physician is going to refer a patient to a dentist, that for sleep apnea, if they're CPAP intolerant or whatever, they have two choices. They can refer it to the local dentist that's doing a little bit of sleep on the side, but he's basically a general dentist, or they can refer it to a standalone model where it is a sleep medicine practice, and that's all that's done. One is considered a specialty, and yes, I do know that it's not a specialty, but from the eyes of the public and from the eyes of the physician, you are limiting your practice to the practice of sleep apnea and TMJ. So it does kind of set you aside as that is your focus, and that is your special, you can't, not really specialty, but your focus and your aspect that you're doing in dentistry. So you can do it as a standalone model. You can do it in-house. If you're going to do it in-house, a lot of people are, and that's the problems that people have had along the way, is how do I get it done while I'm doing crown and bridge and everything else along the way. So we talk about those. We do have set up models on doing so. I would suggest that if you're going to do it inside your office, that you have time set aside specifically for that, and you have a program and a system that flows. The difficult thing of doing it in a dental office is what we offer is a dental solution to a medical condition. Being a medical condition, it's ran as a medical office, medical software. The documentation, everything about it has to meet the standards that you would have for a medical office. So we have to be able to do that. So if you're doing stuff in the dental office and you're doing a crown and bridge in one room, a root canal over here in this one, then you whip over here to the third op and you see a sleep patient over here, you're mixing apples and oranges. Not saying it's impossible, but it's very difficult to do for sure. So again, the law of compensation, our income is determined by how many people we serve and how well we serve them. Looking at that, then we have to ask ourselves, what about marketing? Is marketing that critical? I would venture to say, indeed, it is. I mean, with marketing, we want to be able to find a team that understands dental sleep medicine. Whoever the marketing is, whatever the marketing that is going to be done, we need to be able to understand how it is. We need to be able to provide them with a large variety of resources and analytics and personal marketing plans for them. With our Koala systems, we have a complete marketing team that allows us then to be able to grow the practices, helping them along the way. Without marketing, it's like having whatever your dream car is, you name it, whatever that dream car is that you would just love to have that car. And it's just rolled out. And man, this car's got all the bells and whistles. It is absolutely gorgeous. You sit in the seat and it just hugs around you. Grab that steering wheel and man, it's great. You look at the speedometer and everything's just perfect. It is, man, this thing, and you pull it, look under the hood, and man, it's got everything. This car is absolutely perfect. But let me ask you a question. How much good is that car if you don't have any gas in it? All right? That's the way it is with us with dental sleep medicine. We can have all the education. We can understand the disease. We can look beyond the teeth for the few patients we have. But if we have all of the education and we've got all the experience and we've got 5 diplomats under our name and blah, 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 we've done this, we've done that, all this great stuff, but we have no patients walking in our door, we're just like that car with no gas. We have to be able to have marketing to get the new patients, to get them in the door. So if we're going to build $1 million practice, it's really just a matter of numbers. That's all it is. It's a matter of getting the right amount of numbers. So you do the math. I mean, if you have 35 new patients a day, a month that come through, and if you have 80% of them accepting treatment, that gives you 28 starts a month. If you average over a year's time, initial exam, the appliance, cone beam, home sleep testing if you're doing it, whatever other options are there out there, TMD, same thing, all this. If you have everything that has to do with that patient and you have a revenue, actual money coming in of $3,000 in a year's time, then all it is a math figure. You take the 28 patients 35 new patients, 80% accepting treatment, gives you 28 patients. Multiply it by $3,000 per patient, gives you $84,000 a year. Multiply it out, you're over $1 million a year in a practice. It's a numbers idea. So all you have to do is figure out what your acceptance rate is and what your revenue, your average revenue is per patient, and it's going to tell you how many patients you're going to need using those figures to be able to get you to that $1 million mark. It's really a matter of that. It's a numbers game. So the whole idea is we have to get the correct amount of new patients in our doors to be able to have this successful practice and be able to bring this in and take it from a hobby to a business. So simply, the whole goal is we have to figure out how to get the patients in the door. So I'd like to talk for a moment about Cirque du Soleil. Really interesting. When Cirque du Soleil first started up, they tried to compete with Barnum and Bailey, Circus Circus, some of the other circuses that are around. Barnum and Bailey was just killing them. In fact, Cirque du Soleil was almost bankrupt. They were trying, they couldn't get, you know, you can only get so tall of giants that are up there and walking around with the stilts, and you can only juggle so many balls in the air at one time, and you can only have the funniest, you know, get so funny with the clowns and all this and get all this stuff together, and they just simply were not working entertaining these kids. These kids were just too hard for them to entertain. So the owners got together, and they got together with the think tank, and they said, you know, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? I mean, what can we do? And somewhere along the line, one of them decided, you know what? What we really need to do is we need to change the paradigm. Instead of going after the same group of people, the same pool, the same interest pool that Barnum and Bailey's doing, let's go for a different interest pool. In fact, let's develop a circus atmosphere for affluent adults. And they started Cirque du Soleil, started off in Las Vegas, has become a multi-million-dollar success, and now they're doing tours all over the country. But it's because they decided, you know what, we're going to change the rules. Instead of going after the kids, let them have that. Let's go for a completely different pool of people. And so they went after Cirque du Soleil. So it is with us. We want to be able to educate the 85 to 90% of people who don't really even know they have sleep apnea. Any way we can. Let's go after the public. In the dental community, what we're doing right now is we're going to the physicians and we're saying, oh doctor, for those who can't wear CPAP, please send them to us so that we can get the 50% that aren't wearing the CPAP treated. And the doctors, the physicians are saying, okay, well that's great. Well, if I ever have a patient that doesn't wear a CPAP, I'll be sure and send them your way. And then you sit and wait. Rather than doing that, we need to start a education campaign to the public throughout this country, educating them about the seriousness of obstructive sleep apnea and how it can be treated. I'm a CPAP. CPAPs are great. I believe in CPAPs. And they have a place, as does the oral appliance. But talk about it. Get them first off to recognize that they have the CPAP. Let's go after the 54 million or so with sleep apnea, the 85% of those that are going untreated. They are everywhere you look. I can't go to a restaurant. I can't go to a hotel. I can't go to an airport without looking around and seeing people with the big necks, thick tongues, rasping, and overweight, and those are just the ones that we recognize, let alone the ones that have sleep apnea that are thin and struggling with sleep that you don't even recognize. So educating the public. How do we do that? Well, we have several things that we can do. We can go after the doctor's referrals, educating the public in all those ways. I'm going to go back to that for just a moment. Educating the public through health fairs, through public events like what this one is, business to businesses, going to people's offices and talking to them and the different types of businesses that are there, nursing homes or community centers, assisted living type of homes, these types of things that are independent living, I should say. So going to places where people are at and presenting cases along the way. That's certainly one of the ways of doing it. Not that we don't want to go after and get the referrals from the doctors. Indeed, we do. And at Koala, we have a beautiful letter system that introduces the dentist to the community, to the doctors, lets them know exactly what the programs are and how everything works. And we have a complete way of getting into the doctor referrals. But the truth of the matter is, doctor referrals is what everyone across the country, all dentists are going after the doctor referrals. That's great. The problem is the doctors really don't get it, and their go-to, the gold standard for the treatment of sleep apnea is CPAP. They send them off there, write the script, and they're done, never to see them again. And most of these patients, if they fall out of treatment, they're just done. So we want to get with the doctor's referrals, but we're going to get to them through the back door. We're going to go to the public. And then when the public goes back to their doctor and they've got it, and they're treated, and they show the doctor this appliance is the best kept secret since flush toilets, then they are so talking about all this, and man, I hated that CPAP, and now I've got that. Look, I'm losing weight, and my blood pressure's down, and it's just changed my world completely. And then right after that patient leaves, another patient comes into this physician, and the patient has sleep apnea. The doctor says, "How you doing with your CPAP?" And he says, "Oh man, I hate that thing." The doctor says, "Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you go see Dr. Smith over here and see if he can help?" So certainly that can be a problem along the way. So doctor referrals is a big deal. We want to get to the doctors, but to do so in our communities, they have to have faith in us. They're going to have to see that the appliances do work. They're going to have to see that we actually know what we're doing, and we're not going to be able to do that by explaining it to them coming in the front door. It's the patients coming around and through the back door that allows us to be able to get there.
This is Mary. Mary hasn't had a good night's sleep for over 5 years. Her husband Donald has what the doctor calls obstructive sleep apnea. He tried a breathing machine, but it was noisy and made Donald uncomfortable. Now, Mary's dream is to one day have a home with 2 master bedrooms. In the morning, Donald woke up excited about the potential job promotion. He drank a pot of coffee to make sure he'd be alert and focused. But by the time the interview came, Donald was so drowsy he couldn't concentrate. He went home, taking the bus because he'd recently fallen asleep at the wheel, to tell his wife he didn't get the promotion. "Donald," she said, "I love you, but your snoring problems are ruining our lives." With a proper night's sleep, a person can do anything. Climb mountains, run marathons, and love like never before. Without it, every aspect of life suffers, and even the smallest obstacles seem impossible. At the Koala Center for Sleep Disorders, we introduce our patients to a convenient, custom-made oral appliance they can take with them anywhere they go. No noise, no surgery, no prescriptions, and totally non-invasive. It's a comfortable alternative to the CPAP, and far less expensive than building a new house. We also submit medical insurance claims and Medicare on behalf of our patients. Don't have medical insurance? We offer low and interest-free financing upon approval. Call us now to book an appointment at any of our convenient locations. This phone call might just save your life.
So this was a Facebook ad that we put together, and was a campaign that we did, one of the campaigns. It's also been made into a 30-second ad and a 1-minute ad, also for radio as well as television. So some beautiful ideas, things like that can make a difference. But whatever it is, we want to be able to get to the public, educating the public. If we're not able to do marketing, if we're not able to get things and get our name out there, then we're not able to get the fuel in this amazing car so that we can have the transportation to get us to the end game and move all the way through it. So certainly we've got to be able to have a marketing program that works, whatever that marketing program that you have. But if we're going to take it from a hobby to a successful practice, that cannot be done without a solid marketing program. We have a complete marketing team that puts these pieces together. We actually analyze each area, try to figure out what it is in that particular area that would be effective, and put together a complete business model and marketing plan to generate this along the way. So that's what we do at Koala. Again, if you're doing this and you're doing it on your own, sit down, take the time to put something like that together. If you don't, you're never going to be able to take this to the level that we all would like to take our practices. Again, the seventh thing that we want to do to build a successful practice is we got to have a medical billing team that can actually get paid. One of the most frustrating things is to be able to have someone come in, you get a pre-authorization done, everything's awesome, and you take impressions, get through, you submit the claim, and then you wait, and you wait, and then you end up getting it denied. And you can't figure out why it's denied. You can't talk to a real person, and this thing just goes, it can go on and on and on. And I can tell you, I have written off several $100,000 literally before I got this figured out exactly how to get this program and get the system done in a way that you can get things done. A lot of it has to do with documentation. It has to do with having a software program, a medical software program that works. With our program, we actually have a customized medical software program that we were able to qualify, make it exactly what we want it for koala. And it has a way of internally auditing within itself so that if we have something in electronic health records in our EHR that doesn't match what we're actually submitting in our claims, it'll kick it out. So there's ways for it to be able to circumvent a lot of problems to where we are able to get things paid or get it caught ahead of time so we're able to fix the problem and not have it denied and have to resubmit and resubmit, actually be able to move it through. So having a software program that works like that is a big deal. It also has a letter system that automatically generates a customized letter to a physician about a particular patient and using that patient's medical history or the history of what it is that we were doing. So, but getting a software program that works and using a dental software, you're not going to get it. You've got to be able to have a medical software with electronic health records with a practice management side of that and the two fitting together nicely. You need to have a company that provides software, credentialing, insurance verification, pre-authorization, submitting, processing claims, editing codes, and chart entries. At Koala, we have our own billing system. That's all we do with our billing is only Koala. And so with that, it allows us to be able to focus on specifically what our particular program is. If you go to a billing company, which I would recommend if you're not with Koala, that you do that, but they have an extra challenge on their hands because they may be doing billing for 20, 30 different offices, maybe 50 different offices that they're all using their own software programs and implementing and sending things all on their own different verifying variety of ways. And the problem with doing that is this billing company has to be able to take everything that's integrated, that's sent to them from all these different places and put all these programs together and actually get you paid and get it paid for in the other way. At Koala, since we only do one thing, it's like Southwest Airlines when it first came out. When it came out, they only have one plane. They were very, very successful at getting their program going because they only had one plane. That means that their mechanics only had to train on one engine type. Their pilots only had to learn one way of doing it. Their stewardesses only had one layout on the chairs. Because it was only one thing, they were able to focus it and perfect it, and it was the same thing over and over and over. The beauty of medical billing, if you can keep that so focused to where it's all coming through the same way, then you're able to perfect the system and be able to process these claims and get things going. We provide services for credentialing, for the pre-verification, pre-authorization. Credentialing is a big deal because just because you can be in network, that means getting in network or being out of network with the medical insurance. Let's say United Healthcare, you want to be in network with United Healthcare. Well, you may or you may not want to get in with these different insurance companies. It depends on the contract that you get. Some of the contracts are quite good. Some of them are absolutely terrible. I can't believe anybody would accept the rates that are coming on some of these contracts. But we are able to negotiate these contracts, evaluate, and decide whether or not you want to be in that particular one. So credentialing, doing the in-network, out-of-network. editing the codes and so forth and so on. But getting a good medical billing company, if not Koala, a company somewhere, certainly that is part of what needs to be done to be able to be successful in the practice. And lastly, having ongoing support. Unfortunately, the beginning of the initial training is just the beginning. When you get back, you're always going to have employees that turn around, or they end up getting pregnant, or having to relocate, or for one reason or another, you have missing pieces. So to be able to put things down, not only do training, but have it in a training manual and laid out in such a way that you're able to continue training along the way is really good. We also have a coaching system that is here with Koala, where we have, for the ones that are with the Koala, then any of the offices can pick up the phone, they can call one of our coaches, ask questions, we can retrain in different areas where they're needed and be able to help them. That is because with Koala, you're in practice, in business for yourself, but not by yourself, for sure. So having a coach that can come along the way and help is also a big deal along the way. And then of course, we want to be able to master the protocol. We want to be able to take this program, have a program that works, and do it the same way every single time, from A to Z, and be able to get the flow going through in such a way that it really makes sense. We want to be able to educate the public. We want to be able to get the public to take action. I see a question about here. It says 80% is a normal case acceptance rate that was asked, and that's what my acceptance rate is. It is a good acceptance rate. The reason why it's that high is because we offer all the insurance that is out there, including Medicare. The only reason it's even that low is some people have a fairly high deductible in today's world. But that is what our acceptance rate is, but it's because of the way our presentation is, the way that we explain things to the patients, the way we build value, that we have a way of working with them if they are cash pay, and we will do whatever it is. Our job is to be able to get them treated with whatever it takes. So my employees know that. We have a process, again, a protocol that gets you through. We want to have a smooth, concise initial exam. That's really where it's at, and we need to convert it to treatment. So by having the flow and getting through these things, we're able to take this from a hobby to $1 million sleep practice. We do it by looking beyond the teeth. That's the start. Don't have a heartbreaking circumstance like I did. And it is impacting. It's sometimes hard for me to even talk about this. I feel as though I've been a really good dentist, tried really hard and done things correctly along the way. But because you only know what you know, I didn't look beyond the teeth. And because of that, I lost a really good friend. We want to be able to understand the disease. We want to be able to train the whole team. We need proven systems if we're going to be able to take this from a hobby to $1 million sleep practice. We need to have a business plan that actually works. That business plan, part of that is a marketing plan. The other part is how are we going to get there? If we want to get this to the $1 million practice, where are we going to be after the first year? How many new patients are we going to be per month? What is it going to take to actually take it another step up? Putting together a business plan. We need a marketing team and marketing program that works. We got to educate the public. We got to take the 85 to 90% that don't have a clue they have sleep apnea and educate them. I feel as though as part of the medical community, it is our responsibility to be able to take this knowledge that we know and spread it to the people that need this knowledge so badly. We got to be able to get paid for it, and we need the ongoing training. So if that has any interest, if you would like to talk to us, Donna's actually my wife, and she is actually the one that would actually talk to you at first and help you through this. She does an amazing job with this and has a complete system on helping you to understand exactly what the Koala Sleep Centers is all about. You can email her at donna.willie@koalasleepcenters.com or give her a call on the cell phone, 309-303-0428. Love to hear from you. I can take just a couple moments and look if any of you have any questions. I'm not seeing any here other than from Sarah, and I think we've answered that. So if there are any other questions that you have, if you would just type them out right now, I'd be able to hear that. And if not, I sure hope that you enjoyed this webinar and found it helpful. If there's anything we can do, if you do contact Donna, I'm happy to talk to you also individually. She would make arrangements for us to be able to have that information or that phone conference. Again, we'd love to talk to you anytime. Give us a call, or even if you just have questions and you would like to know something about sleep apnea. I've treated over 3,000 cases. I know a lot about it. Happy to help you clinically, help you business-wise, do whatever I can. I really want to try to help people to be successful at this because I truly believe in it. I do have a question here that says, is your system to start an exclusive sleep practice? Yes, it is both. So we have a system, our ultimate system, the best system is to start an exclusive sleep practice away from the general practice. You may do general dentistry a couple days a week. We have several to do that, and then do sleep 2 or 3 days a week. You can do a lot of sleep apnea treatment in 2 to 3 days a week. That is the ideal, but we also have a transition model where you start it inside your dental practice. We have a way of getting that by having a project manager there and setting it up in such a way that you can be successful inside the practice. And once it gets to a point where it's really generating and it's doing extremely well, then you may choose at that point to pull it out and to do it as a individual standalone practice. So ideally, the exclusive practice is best, but secondarily, a transition model is a good way to go. We have several doing that, doing it successfully, and but gradually moving it then into a standalone model. So with that, I think I'm going to close, and I want to thank you for joining us here with the Koala Center for Sleep Disorders. Again, if you have any questions, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. Thank you very much.